1974. Brazil is a very famous country for many different things, but Brazil in 1974 has a very favorite industry, which is a fast-moving consumer good industry. And this fast-moving consumer good industry is used by a Brazilian every single morning, every single day. It's not toothpaste, it's not soap, it's something called toilet paper. Now, all of us will wonder, what a silly thing to do. Why should you use toilet paper when there's so much of water in Brazil? But some clever marketing guy, some innovative marketing guy went there and said, water is not good, paper is good. And over a period of time, toilet paper consumption has become very big in Brazil. This is an innovation story on market research. So I'm going to be talking different stories, trying to weave together one common picture at the end of it to say how innovation is important for us small people to dream big. This is regarding market research. Brazil has a robust toilet paper industry, but there's a problem. The problem is a good one. 96.3% of people who live in Brazil use toilet paper every single day. 96.3%. That means a very small percentage of people don't use toilet paper. But the problem is there are 62 companies which make toilet paper in Brazil. 62 companies. In India, we don't even have 30 companies which manufacture toilet soap. 62 companies have installed capacity which is 100, but utilization is 37. Now you know when your installed capacity is 100, utilization is 37. What is your effort? You want to fill up that gap, but you cannot fill up that gap because consumption of toilet paper is not going up in Brazil. Now that is the problem. Now how can consumption of toilet paper go up? You know what kind of a product it is. And that too 96.3% of the people in Brazil are using toilet paper. So the Brazilian toilet paper industry has, for this software industry of theirs, they have an industry body. Like we have CII, we have FICI, and you have TiE. Like that, they have an industry body called BTPMA. It is Brazilian Toilet Paper Makers Association. Everybody lobbies to be on it, be the president of it, be the vice president of it, be a part of it. It's a very prestigious body. The BTPMA is having an annual general body meeting. 600 people are assembled there. There's chaos in the crowd because consumption of toilet paper is not going up in Brazil. Huge problem. The president of BTPMA sitting out here is worried. But people are saying, do something, increase consumption of toilet paper. Now all of us know, in marketing terms, you can increase consumption of a product only in two ways. Either by increasing the width of distribution of the product, which you cannot do here because you have to go to hell. Because consumers want to use little rather than more. BTPMA chief got a brilliant idea, and the guy said, there is one way of increasing consumption of toilet paper in Brazil, and that is by getting an intelligent guy called a brand manager. Brand manager. People said, brand manager, what will he do? They said a brand manager comes in with a conceptual framework of mind. He looks at innovation as a practice. He does things differently, and he will create magic out of nothing. And therefore, they went to Harvard, they went to MIT, they went to Kellogg's. Which 23-year-old young man, just out of an Ivy League MBA, wants to join the toilet paper industry? Just imagine your name on a visiting card, on it saying, brand manager toilet paper. Nobody will even marry you. So, however, one young guy, a 23-year-old guy from Kellogg's actually joined, and the guy came up in front of the, BTPMA chief, and the guy asked, sir, what is my target? So the older guy said, the BTPMA chief said, young man, your role is to increase toilet paper consumption in Brazil. He said, yes, sir. I felt happy. Your role is to increase toilet paper consumption over 3 years by 20%. The man said, that's my job, sir. What do you want to do, young man? He was asked. And when he was asked what do you want to do, the young man said, sir, at my institute, I've been taught every step you take, every breath you take, market research your way. And the guy said, market research? The older guy. Because most of us react this way when we get older. Market research? Why do you want to market research? We know everything. What do you know, sir? We know the population of Brazil. We know an average Brazilian goes to the loo normally, under normal circumstances, once in the morning. And when he goes, at the end, the consumption occasion demands 1 yard of toilet paper. Multiply population into 365 or 364 days and multiply that into 1 yard, you have total numbers. The young man says, no sir, that is a quantitative number. I want a qualitative item. Qualitative? What do you want to know in qualitative? He says, sir, these are numbers which every Tom, Dick and Harish has. I want a qualitative number, and a qualitative number is something different. So he says, what do you want to understand? He says, I want to understand through market research, believe in market research, what a Brazilian does in the toilet. Market research is the study of what you do, how you do, where you do, with what attitude you do, how long you do, with whom you do, etc., etc., etc. And the young man said, ah. So the older guy reacted. And this is how, when you're non-innovative in market research, you're very numbers distorted, you're not quality distorted. At the same time, the numbers gathering mechanism is most of the time faulty. And therefore, I as a practitioner discourage quantitative studies in any realm, because quantitative studies are pari passu and generic. I encourage more innovative research. And this example of Brazil tells you how they got innovative. So the young man said, the older guy said, okay, give me a questionnaire. Give me 60 questions on a question. I will give it to 600 people in Brazil. We'll extrapolate the results. We'll understand what's happening. Young man said, no, sir, that is the wrong way of market research. Because when you give somebody a questionnaire with 60 questions on it, the first 5 it's ina, mina, maina, ma. First 5 you answer honestly, and the next is ina, mina, maina, mo. You just garbage in, garbage out. And therefore the guy says, the older guy says, what do you want to do? He says, I want to do the holistic method of study, not quantitative. What is holistic? He says, I want to do something different. The older guy agrees. And the older guy agrees to the younger guy's suggestion to set up 16mm cameras in about 65 Brazilian bathrooms. They actually took permission from 65 poor Brazilian households. Very, very exploitative, usurpative. But this is 74. These words haven't come in focus as yet. 65 cameras in the Brazilian bathrooms linked to the light switch in the bathroom. When the man goes into the bathroom, switches on the light, whirr, the camera starts recording the proceedings. And when he finishes and switches off the light, off it goes. 65. This is rough and dirty research. Morning they'll come load the film, evening they'll unload the film, send it to Mexico because it's a Mexican market research firm which is doing it. They study it and then they find out diagnostics. First 3 months data that came out of this research, some 91 days data. It's like this. Those of us who are married will understand this better. Why that data was jumped. You know, when someone or something is in the house for more than 3 months at a stretch, you tend to think that that someone or something does not exist at all. Tube lights. That's precisely what happened to the camera. In the beginning, first few days everybody hid. First 30 days they hid behind newspapers, did it stylishly, etc., etc. So this was junk. They junked it. After 3 months they forgot the camera was there and people started doing things bindas. And that next 3 months data was rich in its pickings. You know why? Because people were doing things naturally. A one-sheet market research diagnostic statement came in front of the BTPMA brand manager and it said, an average Brazilian sits on the throne for 7 minutes. An average Brazilian who sits on the throne for 7 minutes is bored on the potty. 3. An average Brazilian who sits for 7 minutes and is bored on the potty reads on the potty. And 4. An average Brazilian uses 1 yard of toilet paper per consumption occasion, which we already knew. No other brand manager would have gotten excited. This young, innovative brand manager got very excited. He said, I want to see that film more. Warrior that he was, he said, we want to see more. The research agency asked, what do you want to see? And the guy says, I want to see what they're reading. They went back and they found they weren't reading Karl Marx, they weren't reading Philip Kotler, they were reading the daily newspaper. The guy got excited and he said, I want to see the tapes again. He said, why? I want to see what they're reading in the newspapers. God is in the details of market research. God is in the granularity of understanding rather than in the aggregation of understanding. So the guy went, they focused, and they found out Brazilians were carrying the big newspapers. The last 6 pages of the newspaper were light comic strips, comics. People weren't reading serious stuff, they were reading comics on the potty. And when they went and asked them why, they said, light reading for the light occasion. The entire thing came up. This guy got a brilliant idea from it, innovation. He took toilet paper rolls and printed comic strips on toilet paper rolls. And he created a new product. He kept the product in the bathroom. They watched 3 more months. Now Brazilians were not walking into the loo and carrying the bulky newspaper. Instead he sat on the throne and then he'd take it out from the roller and read and read and read. Coinciding with 7 minutes of his reading speed, that much paper would come out and he'd take that paper, and I don't have to explain to you what he did with it. This research resulted in a 376% increase in consumption when they wanted only 20%. Why have I told you this Brazilian story for a start? Just to say, as an introduction, that innovation is a mindset. Some people have it, some people don't have it. Innovation is a cultural thing. Some cultures have it, some cultures don't have it. Innovation is about granularity, depth of understanding. Innovation is about doing things differently. Innovation is about treading different paths. Innovation is not whether you're a small business with no money or a big business with huge money. If all the big businesses with huge money could buy huge innovation, they would be, I don't know where, in stratosphere. Innovation is a mindset which the small have better than the big. And incidentally, employees who work in big organizations are small, and therefore bulk of your innovations come from your employees rather than from this.